What's good, everyone? Coach Danny here with the Shift Method podcast. I know it's been a while since we dropped one of these videos, but have a lot of things going on in the works. Been very busy in invested ways, and I was waiting until I could get kind of a little different podcast. And as you see, we're not on Zoom for this one, and so this is an awesome first. Hopefully, many more of these to come. But this is going to be my first in-person podcast, and of course, I had to do it with someone very special who, the man needs no introduction, because he is such a phenomenal human being, coach, overall person. But I had the awesome opportunity to interview and chat with a mentor of mine, a great guy, and that is the owner of Johnny O's Gym, where you guys see all the content, and that is Mr. Johnny Olson. And so we're going to take some time and kind of chat about his upbringing, how he kind of got into the fitness industry, because he is a pioneer, a professional through and through. And of course, we're going to kind of dive into, about Johnny O's Gym. If you're someone in the local area, you're kind of thinking and shopping around for gyms and, hey, where should I go to kind of start my fitness journey? I want to show you all kind of one of the awesome benefits of being here.
And of course, we got daily content on the socials. If you ever have inquiries about coaching, you know where to find me. You can go to Instagram at _shift_method. And of course, if you're watching through YouTube, please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let me know if there's some people local that you'd like me to interview. I'm always open to y'all's suggestions in the comments down below. But without further ado, Mr. Johnny, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much. You're way too kind with those beautiful words, Coach. And I appreciate everything you say, man. I'm just a regular guy having some fun in life.
Thank you, Mr. Johnny. I was looking back, and funny enough, we're coming up for myself of 3 years now that I've known you, if you can believe that.
It's been 3 great years, and if someone were to ask me about you, which they do, I repeat the same things over and over. You come in every day, morning, and then at night, and you're always prepared. You're always got a smile. You're always in a good mood. And man, your education just keeps getting better and better. So anybody that is looking to take their talents in the fitness industry to the next level, you can't go wrong with this man right here. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Johnny. And of course, we do have a very, very important guest here. Mr. Johnny is who we're interviewing, but the star of the show here is wonderful Ava. She is an awesome job. This is a dog-friendly gym. So if you guys are ever wondering, like, man, I can't leave my pup at home, Johnny O's Gym is very, very dog-friendly, as you can see. So we have our guest here that's always going to be around for us. But, I always like, when I do these interviews, y'all see when I talk to fitness pros, I like to get to know a little bit more about them. Obviously, I heard the story before, but it's a great story that I think cannot be stated enough. So, Mr. Johnny, kind of just talking about your journey personally, like how you grew up and how you personally got into fitness yourself.
Well, I grew up, and I was born in 1960. I think that's important to say first, because I grew up in the 60s and 70s. And my mother was a runner, and she and at a time when women weren't supposed to be doing it. And there was a running craze that began in the mid 60s, and my mother was one of them. She was a pioneer, and my father ended up getting into it as well. So we were a fitness family, right as far as I can, as long as I can remember. And I believe we got Santa Claus brought us a weight set, my brother and I, my younger brother. And I want to say that was probably around 1968 or 69. Mm-hmm. It was the old weight set with the sand-filled weights.
Yes.
And if you dropped them, they would leak some sand out of them. And we started with that. And a year or two later, we were at a yard sale in our neighborhood, and somebody had a metal set of weights that they were selling. And I believe it was only $5. And we borrowed the money from my mother. We bought the weight set, and probably took us 2 or 3 trips to bring them to the house. And we were off and running. And I started really getting into weight training. And it started off, every day after school, and it led to before school and after school. And then I got into Olympic weightlifting. And I had to learn it through books and magazines. I'd go, to the school library, the town library, and look up Olympic weightlifting. And that's how I learned to do, for example, the snatch. Yeah. And I learned it from photographs that were taken milliseconds apart, and they would show the entire form. And I studied each and every one of those photos to learn exactly how he was doing it, because there was no one that you can speak to learn anything about training.
Absolutely.
And I get into it, and I ended up starting to compete. And you know, when you competed back then, when I think about this, you had to write a letter to the organization, and they would write a letter back to you telling you when the shows were and where they were and what type of shows they were. And in 1975, I won a silver medal in the Junior Olympics. And man, I was just, it became my life.
Yeah.
And I look back at that time. And funny enough, I never realized how big that meant to my life until just a few years ago, when I was home at my mother's house, and I saw the medal that I won.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that medal didn't cost more than 50 cents, but it has a lot of meaning to me. And now I have it framed, and it's upstairs in my office. But it really meant a lot to me when I look back, that's what formed my entire life of fitness. So now I can honestly say I've been involved in the fitness industry in one form or another for 6 decades. And it's gone by quick, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yes, and definitely I'm going to keep talking you up. You know, like you mentioned, you are 64 years old.
Yes, sir.
64 years young, I should say, man, because if you guys can tell, this man actually, you know, talks the talk, but he also walks the walk, man. He breathes it through and through. This man is an actual representation of the best of the fitness industry, you know, and you've had a wide array of experience, like you mentioned, going from the Olympic lifting, and then you also got involved a little bit into bodybuilding as well, right?
I did bodybuilding in the later parts of the 70s, and in other contests as well. But when I turned 51, I really got back into competing again heavily. And they started with a new category called men's physique. And basically it's more mainstream. You wear board shorts or you know, surfer shorts, whatever you want to call them. And it's not massive like builds like bodybuilding is. Like I say, it's more mainstream, and you look healthier, and you're just in great shape. And when I began that, I was in my early 50s, and I had to compete against everyone in their 20s.
Yeah.
I was always the oldest one in the competitions, but I still did well. And they didn't have masters categories for several years after I started competing. And then when they added a masters, it was over 35, and I'm like, man, I'm 55 now, and that's young for me, 35, you know. But I had a lot of fun, met a lot of great people, and that's the thing about competing, is when you go to the show and you walk in that day, there's no more you can do. You've had to do all your work.
Yep.
So you learn to enjoy yourself, embrace your competitors, and learn, meet new people, and have a lot of fun. And that's what I did.
Absolutely. One thing that I wanted to always ask you about, because, you know, I recently went to Boston on a trip, and I know you're from Boston area originally. How has that kind of shaped like your mentality and your upbringing? Because, you know, speaking for, you know, my experience around the Bostonians, man, they're rough and tough people, man. They don't put up with shit. They're very down to earth, very hardworking people. So has growing up in Boston kind of shaped like your mentality or how you kind of approach life?
That's a great question, because in the late 60s, early 70s, remember when I grew up, we had 5 channels to watch on TV. The 3 networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, and we had 2 what we call UHF channels. And one of them, Channel 38, broadcast all of the Boston Bruins games. And hockey was a lot different then. No one wore helmets. Goalies were just beginning to wear masks. And the Boston Bruins had Bobby Orr, who was God for everybody. He just was the everyone's hero. But they were real rough, tough group. And when you came into Boston to play the Bruins, you had to have your A game, and you knew it was going to be a lot of fights, a lot of hitting, and you're going to have to play hard.
Yeah.
And I think that's the mentality that a lot of us grew up with, was those Boston Bruins. So people my age, if you go back and talk to somebody in my age group or a little older, not only will they recite everyone's name that played on those teams, they'll remember their numbers. So
Jeez.
we all watched hockey, and
Yeah,
it was a rough sport, man. And you had to be tough. So one of my heroes was a guy named Terry O'Reilly. And Terry O'Reilly was one of the toughest guys that ever played the game. And he never really deserved to be there talent-wise.
Gotcha.
But he outworked everybody. There was no way you couldn't put him on the team because he made everybody around you better.
Yeah.
And
So people
that's,
kind of looked up to him like, hey, despite lack of talent
love
or
him.
comparatively lack of talent, it's like if you work hard, you can make it.
exactly. And that's what he did. He was that guy that was the underdog. And the Bruins were underdogs. There were a lot of teams that had much better talent, but no one played tougher, no one played harder than them. And I think that that's the kind of the attitude that a lot of people my generation picked up on.
Yeah, yeah. I know this is coming out a few weeks later, but I'm going to say, although I don't want them to win, I'm going to congratulate probably the Celtics right now on another NBA championship. But hey, the Panthers are in the Stanley Cup right now, so go Cats.
Yeah.
But no, that's really cool. Yeah, I definitely noticed that, and I imagine too, just like geographically, like how harsh probably the winters can be. You know, I visited back in February of 2019, and it was so cold and so tough. And you know, me growing up in Florida, like that's a tough environment. So I imagine that kind of just makes you a harder person in general growing up in that environment.
Oh, it does. Looking back now, man, you know, like I say, I grew up, we only had 5 channels. So what did you do? We were outside all the time.
Yeah.
And we were outside in really harsh weather. And it didn't matter. It was just a common thing for all of us. So I think growing up in a cold climate makes you a little tougher. I do enjoy the winters down here, and I'm not going back.
That's right.
But it definitely formed a lot of us,
Absolutely.
you know, to who we are.
Absolutely. Now, so you got into lifting when you were young. Family had a big influence on you, started lifting, and then, of course, got into the Olympic weightlifting side of things. When did coaching come into play, and kind of what, like, you know, made you want to become a coach?
Honestly, I believe it just evolved. It just evolved. Remember when there weren't any gyms, when I was very, very few gyms around. And when I had the opportunity or the privilege to go to those gyms, it could be 40 miles away. It's not like today there's a gym on every corner, but back then there weren't any. So all of my workouts came in my garage.
Yeah.
And in the winter, you know, I'd have to wear gloves because the bars were so cold. There weren't a lot of people working out, and I built my body, and I look different than a lot of people.
Yeah.
Therefore, people would come to me for advice, and I just started giving out the advice that I knew, which was advice that I got from my research of reading and doing whatever I could to learn more. I'd be down at the bookstore. I would know the day that the magazines, Muscle and Fitness,
Yes.
and Iron Man, and some of those great magazines were coming out. That's where we learned it from.
Absolutely.
So it all came from there. But people would start to ask me questions, and I would give them advice. And there was always people that wanted to join me in working out. And so it just evolved, and it got more and more over the years.
Absolutely. Of course, you know, you have a wonderful mural of the GOAT up there, Arnold, who's, I'm sure, an inspiration to you.
Huge.
Who were some of the mentors as you were kind of getting into coaching space and getting more serious about like competing in like bodybuilding? Who were your mentors growing up?
One of Arnold's competitors that he would compete against was a guy named Serge Nubret. He was from France. And I fell in love with his style of physique. He was probably 20 pounds less than Arnold, but he was extremely symmetrical, and he moved with such grace. And I loved his style. and he became one of my favorites. But Arnold was always my favorite, and Arnold has influenced millions and millions of people. And I always like to say this, but it's funny but true. I was a fan of Arnold's before he could really speak English when he came over here. But man, anything Arnold had to say, I would read and listen to. And when his movie came out, Pumping Irons,
great movie.
It was a documentary that came out in 1977. I remember going into Boston, purchasing tickets at the Exeter Street Theater, which was an iconic place and now is gone, and going in a month later to see it on opening night. And it's something that I'll talk about till the day I die. But when the movie was over, the lights went out in the theater, and a spotlight came on, and Arnold was 20 feet away from me, and he gave a speech, and Ed Corney did some posing on stage, and it was
That's
electric, man. Just amazing.
We'll definitely be sure to put the link, because I'm pretty sure it's free on YouTube right now. I think that's where I first noticed it, that they actually have the documentary now available. If you haven't seen it and you're remotely interested in fitness, especially bodybuilding, it's a phenomenal documentary, so I definitely recommend checking it out.
So let me add this. Last night, I went to the ballet, and I saw one of our coaches, who's just an amazing woman, Tamara Zontini.
Yep.
Her daughter was in a ballet last night, and I went to watch it, and these young ladies are just moving with such grace and beauty, and it's so artistic. And the movie begins when it reminded me of Pumping Iron, because Pumping Iron begins with Arnold and his training partner, Franco Columbo, in a ballet studio, learning ballet moves in order to pose more gracefully.
Yes.
And that's Arnold.
It's an art.
He was that far ahead of his time.
Absolutely.
And so I was thinking a lot about that last night while I went to the ballet.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It is definitely an art form, man. I have so much respect for bodybuilders. Like, obviously, just like the work ethic you have to do to prepare physically, but also like the mental side of getting ready for a show with like your diet is extremely restricted. You have to be, your social life changes quite a bit, especially as you get closer to a show. So, and you've experienced it personally. So I can imagine like the difficulty to actually show up prepared and ready to go on stage.
Yeah. And you learn so much from it. But one of the main things you learn from it is the fact that you can do it.
Yeah, I imagine.
Because when you look and you say, today's January 1st, I'm going to do a show in 14 weeks, and you identify that show, and you send in your payment already right then, so you're really dialing yourself in. Now you get 12, 13 weeks of dieting. And being able to say that you can do it is a good thing. But as a trainer, to be able to speak on it more, it's really important. So I suggest to a lot of the young trainers that are somewhat into competing, I tell them, compete, do it, because it's going to help you. It's going to help you become a better trainer.
Absolutely.
It's going to increase your knowledge.
Yeah.
And it's really good. But the satisfaction that you get from competing and walking off the stage with the trophy, it proves that you're capable of doing things you might not have thought you were capable of doing before.
There's value to doing hard stuff, man. It really, we tell our clients all the time, right? Like, it's going to be worth it. Even if you're not feeling your best, I have a slogan, I say, do the damn thing. It's even if you're not feeling your best, like, I don't know anyone who said, I wish I didn't do that workout, or I'm not better off because I invested and trusted in myself and went through this difficult process, man. And so like bodybuilding is kind of like that, the most extreme version of like putting yourself through the fire and coming out the other end saying, holy shit, I actually did that.
Exactly. And then you could take that knowledge with you and use it to your clients.
Yeah.
And when, you know what it took for you to go through hard workouts. Now you're with somebody, you can see that they're not responding normally to how they work with you. Now you can just get down there and say, look, I felt like this. Yeah. I knew what this was like.
Been there.
This is what we got to do.
Yes.
Now, you might not feel it today, but we're going to push through it.
Absolutely.
And that's where you come in.
Absolutely.
And the more knowledge that you have, the more people you can help.
100%, sir. Now, you talked a little bit about kind of like, your viewpoint that we talked about with hard work and discipline. And obviously this changes over time for coaches, but if you had to kind of narrow down, like, what is like your fitness philosophy? Like, what is your mentality whether that's when you talk to coaches or whether it's when you work with clients? Like, what is Johnny O's like fitness philosophy, if you will?
I like to keep it simple. I look at the masses. The majority of people that are walking the streets have thought about getting in shape. They've joined gyms, and unfortunately, the high majority of them have failed at it. So my philosophy is to keep it simple. And I explain to them that don't know what you do for a living, but I know one thing: I can't do your job. So we shouldn't expect you to be able to do ours. So that's why just joining a gym is not the best. You need more than just that.
Of course.
So you need to join a gym, but you got to work with somebody that can help you.
Absolutely.
And that's where guys like you come in. And that's really important. So it's a lot of my philosophy is explaining why they've failed. And oftentimes explaining, I make them explain to me by just asking them simple questions. And when they see the reasons why they've failed, oftentimes it's not their fault, it's the fitness industry's fault. We know how to build gyms, we know how to sell memberships, but we don't know how to help the people. And there's a lot of places that don't care about helping. They're just in it for the dollar.
Absolutely. And that's one thing that, I think a lot of people, if you stop in this gym, initially it can feel intimidating. You're surrounded by greatness. I know y'all can't maybe see too well, but there's phenomenal athletes from all sports, men and women, across multiple disciplines in this gym. And of course that can seem, the lights are on. I think it's fun. It's a very fun, engaging environment. There's an outside section, but people I think can be intimidated. But what they realize, I guess I should say very soon, is this is probably one of the most friendly environments personally I've ever been in a fitness industry. Number one, you're here basically every single day.
Yeah.
And you take time out of your day to like talk to people. I don't know any gym owner that does that will actually, you know everyone by name. You ask them how they're doing. You remember stuff that's like important in their life. You just mentioned you go to things in people's life that's important. You were at a trainer's ballet recital for their daughter.
Yeah.
And I know you do that for not just the trainers, you do stuff for your patrons as well. And then the coaches. The coaches here are such great people, man. I've never seen anyone be uncomfortable or feel awkward. Everyone here is super, super supportive. They demand a lot of their clients. They demand a lot of each other, but they do it in a very receptive way, in a very supportive way. And like you said, a lot of gyms, the model is sign up for a membership. We collect your money every month, and then we don't really care about you. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of just how the fitness industry historically has been structured. But you're not like that at all. And the amount of respect I have for that is tremendous.
Well, I greatly appreciate everything you just said. And, sometimes it strikes me to be odd because, yes, I do go up to people. Yes, I walk this floor every day and I engage in conversations. I want to make sure that my members are getting the results that they want. Mm-hmm. I want to make sure that they haven't hit that wall that we all hit from time to time. And I always offer my services to them if they do hit that or if they have any questions. My office is always open for them to sit down with me. But it also strikes me as really odd that other people don't do this because, and I've been to a lot of gyms and never knew who the owner was over the years. And it strikes me as odd because, quite frankly, my members, my success is based on their success.
We're here because of them. We're in the service of them.
Exactly. If we can't help them, there's someone else waiting to do so. So it's just natural to want to help the people that we deal with. And, you're a perfect example of that. And people in the fitness industry, there's hundreds of thousands of trainers. They remind me of educational people that are in schools and professors and universities and high schools and elementary schools. These are people like you that are passionate about what you do, and they understand they are not going to be shopping someday for a home on the ocean. Mm-hmm. Because we're not in that income bracket, and we never will be. Yeah. but we're into helping people.
Absolutely.
And it says a lot about a person that wakes up every morning and understands that you have the ability to change a life.
Absolutely.
How big is that?
Not only that, Mr. Johnny, this is what I always tell trainers too, if they ever, because, you know, we all have our times we go through where it gets hard, you know, waking up at 6 a.m. every day. Not only do you have the ability to change a person's life or help them change their own life, right? Because I tell people they're the author of their own life. But when someone's life gets better, everyone around them's life gets better. It's this beautiful like spiderweb effect, right? You help a client, now she's feeling better, more confident, or maybe she's getting off a medication. Now her relationship with her husband is getting better. Now she's a better mother.
Yeah.
Now she's a better friend, a better worker. And that just spreads infinitely from one person.
Exactly. You know, I've never heard that put like that before, and that is brilliant. And that is brilliant. And it reminds me of another branch that comes from this. When you help people, without question, eventually it's going to come back to you.
Absolutely.
Because that person is going to work, they're happy, they're feeling better, they're looking better, their coworkers are looking at them and they're saying, what's this? Oh, I'm eating better now, I'm bringing my lunch in, I'm going to train with Coach D after this. And then, you know, it might be a month, it might be 6 months. All of a sudden you're going to get a text from somebody and they're going to say, hey, can I bring one of my coworkers in with me today at 2 p.m. when I'm training with you? She wants to try it out. And you're going to be happy to do it because now you know you've got somebody that you've made a difference in one life.
Absolutely.
And you're about to have the ability to do it in another life. And that's a great feeling. Absolutely. And I know you get that feeling every day.
Every day. It makes me, I get these text messages. I had a client recently who were taking rest between sets. And she just comes up to me and she's like saying, you know, she's on some medication for blood pressure and hypothyroidism. She's like, you know, I stopped one of my medications yesterday because my doctor said my blood work looks good and I don't need it anymore.
Wow.
And it's just like, it's moments like that obviously selfishly for myself feels good, but like that person's life is now better moving forward because of the work that they've done.
Absolutely. That's absolutely correct. And that's a wonderful story. And that's a story that you should be constantly telling.
Absolutely.
Because in your business, you're a humble guy. Damien, you're a humble guy, and I admire that. But there's times when you don't need to be humble.
Absolutely right.
And that's when you have the ability to change someone's life. Tell those stories.
Yes.
Because so many people can benefit from that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Now, you talked a little bit about it. So obviously we're filming here in person, this beautiful, beautiful gym. What's kind of like the story about how Johnny O's got started? Can you walk us through like what made you come down here to beautiful, sunny Boca Raton and how you kind of started the gym?
Well, I came to Florida because I kind of wanted to dress like this every day. And
it's not a bad gig.
You know, as you get older and you realize how fast life goes by, you kind of live more in Florida than you do in cold weather places. You know, I would go into work. My first gym that I owned was on Cape Cod. And I'd go to work in the morning, it would be dark out. And in the winters, it would get dark at 4:15 p.m.
Yeah.
And I'd leave and it would be dark at night. And life was going by quick. And it was somewhat depressing in the winters. I enjoy living down here. So I came down here. I was a fitness consultant for a while and doing some training. I've always been involved in the fitness business. And I had an opportunity from one of my closest friends, Joseph Osborne, and he said, I want to open a gym with you. And this was a few years before we opened this. And I said...
It was like 2018, 20...
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And I remember thinking, I would love to do that, and I got some great ideas. But the first idea that I knew I had to have was the right location. Because if you're not in the right location, you're not going to be able to get everybody to come in here. So this place became available. I looked at it. I saw everything that you see in here today, right down to the photographs on the bathrooms doors. Every of the iconic athlete murals that are hand painted on the wall. I wanted just as many female athletes as men because we have a lot of females that come in here.
Mm.
When I saw the outside area, it was a mess. The weeds were knee high.
I've seen the starting photos, just the concrete.
Yeah,
and
and you know, we took over. I knew what I wanted to do there, and we made it happen. And my partner said, I have two requests. I want you to walk in the gym, be able to. I want you to build something that you, when you walk in the gym every day, you're proud of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that. And he said, I want your name to be involved in to be in the name of the gym. And we did that too. So it's been an amazing 4.5 years. The people that I've met, the relationships that I have had, and still continue to make, it's just amazing. Yesterday we had 50-something people in here for a morning class.
Yes.
And everybody is so nice and kind. And we've got people that we had a young lady in here, 12 years old, and we had Mr. and Mrs. Rubin,
That's right.
75 years old. And, you know, it's just, and everybody in between. And the beauty of a good class like that is everyone leaves that class having done their best. And that's what matters. So we have really created a culture,
Yes.
An image and a vibe in here. The vibe at Johnny O's is when you walk in the door, there's no going slow.
Yep.
When you walk in and you look around, everybody's doing something.
Mm-hmm.
When you go outside, you're going to see athletes from 9, 10, 12 years old up to professional athletes, world-class athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me proud to see it all. But when, you know, you get guys like Travis Kelce that comes in,
Yep.
we have one of the fastest men in the world that's training here by the name of CJ Green. He is literally the 7th fastest man in the world. 8 billion people on this planet, and he's the 7th fastest.
Yep.
That's an incredible thing. And obviously, he's going to go to the gym that he feels is going to put him in the best shape to win a medal in Paris next month.
Absolutely.
And by the way, this will be his 3rd Olympics. And he's an incredible human being. So many people have gotten a chance to meet him, but watch him.
Yes.
And when he trains, it is next level, and he's amazing.
So that's a testament to the culture that you have built, because like you said, you have Mr. and Mrs. Rubin, who I've talked about before. Shout out to Ray Phillips, who is kind of the coach who does a lot of the training with them and leads those Saturday classes. People who started a few years ago their fitness journey in their late 60s, early 70s, and then you have world-class athletes, and everyone gets along. Everyone is kind and considerate to each other. Everyone is here for their betterment, and it's a wonderful time. Like, I can't think of a place that has that wide spectrum of people and still producing results and still doing it in a way that is respectful and conducive to like good relationships.
Yeah.
And it also, like I mentioned, goes to the talent that you bring in here, right? You're not just bringing some random person on the street. You got, you know, Ray, you got Drew, you got Chris, you got Curtis. A bunch of the trainers here are phenomenal people that come in every day. They're motivated to help people get better. They hold their clients accountable, but they do so in a way that's very receptive and respectful. And so that culture is definitely very, very evident in what you do.
I'm blessed, man. I'm really blessed. You know, we all have certain talents. I think one of my talents that I've learned is that I have been able to hire the right people and to attract the right people.
And Dave, of course, Dave.
That's where I'm leading
Yes.
to. David Dixon is the general manager, managing partner here, and you know he's the star that stirs this drink as much as I am, and he makes things happen, and he hires the right people. But it's a culture that I'm real proud of. We don't have any high sales pressure. When people come to us, what I tell people all the time is, look, come in, try my gym out.
Be my guest for a week.
Be my guest.
Yep.
Try it out. But go to as many gyms as you want.
Mm-hmm.
Try them out.
Yep.
And then ask yourself the question, what gym is going to put me in the best position to get results?
Yeah.
Don't join a gym because it's the cheapest. Don't join it because it's around the corner. Don't join it because your friends might be there. Join the gym that's going to give you results.
Absolutely.
Which gym is going to do that? And just ask yourself that question. And I'm confidently can say that because of what we have here. So most of them come back and want to join.
100%.
And you had mentioned earlier about being intimidated. Some people are, and I say to them, that's not the right thinking. You can't think about what that person's doing or how this person looks or what they might be thinking of how you look. You got to come in here for you. You have to get dedicated. You have to prioritize working out. And if you could do it for a month and see the progress that you make, you're going to start to see it more and more and more.
Absolutely.
And progress is so miniature. It's minor. It's one more calorie a day. It's one more pound. If you can make a little bit of progress every day, and then you see it after a year,
Stacks
it's
up.
astronomical.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Kind of to close up here, Mr. John, let's say someone is watching this or they come across this, and even in general, if it's not from this video, just you're meeting someone on the street and they tell you, Mr. Johnny, I'm been trying to get involved in fitness. Like you said, maybe I failed time and time again. I'm looking to take action, but I don't know what to do. What's like the biggest piece of advice you can give to someone who's kind of on that weird like precipice of their life, trying to make a big change for fitness?
I think it comes back to some of the things I said earlier. Do it for you. Write down your fitness goals. If you write down your fitness goals, and I'm talking about your fitness goals for the first month, for the first 6 months, for the first year, write them down. If you could write those down, and we can help you obtain those goals. And how do we do that? Well, we're going to give you a free personal training session with one of our trainers to help you with that and to show you the things that you need to do. But it's instilling in them the knowledge that this isn't that difficult. In order to be successful, there's 3 things that make you successful, whether it's in here or it's outside. It's hard work, it's discipline, and it's sacrifice. And when you could do those 3 things, there's no secret to it. You're going to succeed. And I think what separates us from a lot of places is when you're in here working out, you're surrounded by great people. And I always say, you wanna go someplace in life, surround yourself with good people.
Absolutely.
Man. People that have integrity, that are strong and compassionate and hardworking. And you find yourself learning a lot from them and becoming a better person. But you will get results in fitness if you follow those simple rules.
Absolutely.
It's really that good. When you get people around you, why are these same people coming back month after month, year after year with you, coach?
Yeah.
Because of you. It's what you give.
Absolutely.
And we're just minor people on the planet, and if we can change a couple lives along the way, it makes for a good life.
It absolutely does. Yeah. I've figured this out in grad school. I jumped back and forth between what I wanted to do, but I ultimately ask myself why. A mentor of mine, Coach Lucas Woody, he always said, go back to your why. That is how you determine your day. Passion's important, but go back to your purpose.
Yeah.
And time again, it came to, I know that I want to be in the service of others for their fitness and their mental health.
And one other thing, I got to interrupt you on this. This guy right here is really living the fitness life. So you're in here before your daytime job, training people. You go to your daytime job and you come back here at night. But the daytime job I want to speak about. You work with students at FAU that are looking to make this part of their life.
Yeah.
So every trainer has the ability to work with individuals throughout the day, but you get a chance to work with multiple students and help change their lives. And it's amazing. And I had the privilege and honor for you to ask me to come in and speak with them earlier this year. And it really showed me what you do.
Absolutely.
So it opened it up. But so your entire life, man, is just filled trying to help people. And that's a good thing.
Yeah, because I realized, obviously I can help out X number of people. I got X number of hours in my day. But if I can help young, aspiring, passionate fitness pros, then my reach and their reach becomes endless. And so, that's why I love helping young pros become fitness professionals essentially.
You do it, bro. You do it every day. You walk the walk, you talk the talk. And, you know, I said a few minutes ago that it's important to surround yourself with good people.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm doing. And
Thank
you're
you,
one
Mr.
of them.
I appreciate you, sir. I think that's a good way to end it. Again,
Yes, sir.
thank you for all that you do. I appreciate you so much. Is there anything that you want to tell the people about Johnny O's or anything that you want to
You know what? What I would like to say is, look, if you've ever thought about working out, if you've ever wanted to make some changes in your life, give me a month. Come down here, give us a month. Let us help you and let us show you what we can do that you haven't seen before. Come down here, feel the vibe, get in here, and this place is conducive to results. You're going to see what a family gym is like, and give us a shot. Give us a shot. Come down as my guest and try it out for free. I would love to do that. I'd love to meet you personally, and I would love to watch you get better.
Absolutely. I'm going to put all the links in the description for Instagram, for the website for Johnny O, so you can read a little bit about it. Like Mr. Johnny said, come be his guest, come check out the gym, come do a class, come do a free session with me. That is always something I offer for people who are interested in personal training and looking to take that next step to kind of help change their life for the better. And again, if y'all enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Y'all know I appreciate that. Let us know how you kind of liked this awesome conversation that we had together. And we got daily content on the socials. Y'all can head to my website, theshiftmethod.org. Click any of those take action buttons. And we can go ahead and get in contact with each other. Thank y'all again so much, Mr. Johnny.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
It's always a privilege.
Later, everyone.